Hello my friends, we have some new update from the Bakhmut city. It's getting harder to fight over there, and today I published some of the videos on my Telegram channel that even inside the city center it's not really safe to be. And if you look at this map, our forces already mostly moved out from the city center to the western side of the Bakhmut. Still, occasionally we have our groups fighting in the center, but today Russian forces moved northbound from this direction, successfully taking more quarters of the residential area. And I may say to you that I was wrong telling that it's time to move our forces out from the Bakhmut city around 10 days ago. No, by that time it was early. And the main idea for Bakhmut right now is to concentrate the enemy forces and not let them to go to Ukrainian controlled territory. So I would compare it to Mariupol scenario where Azov resisted the Russian aggression and they were encircled, but they kept lots of the Russian forces far away from the future front lines, and Russia there just bogged down and weren't able to use the potential advancement that they've planned from the Mariupol towards north to encircle our forces in Donbass, and Azov did the great job, and now our soldiers in Bakhmut are doing fantastic job resisting Russian attacks and keeping their forces, but at the same time we are preparing for the massive counterattack. And we're gonna speak more about Bakhmut. First, let me tell you about the partner and the sponsor of my video, the Atlas VPN. They recently came out with a big deal for my followers and subscribers where you can get the Atlas VPN Premium for just $183 per month. The deal is time limited, so my friends, hurry up and join the club. And now I'm gonna tell you why do I think the Atlas VPN is the best VPN out there. It has military encryption standards, strongly securing your data and your devices from being reached by government, unwanted ads, and also hackers. Yes, you may say hackers, why do they need my account? Well, actually, my friends, I got personal experience that my pilot blog channel dedicated to aviation was hacked. Then I was using public Wi-Fi. All of my videos were deleted, and after that hackers told me to send Bitcoin for them and they will open access to my own account. I didn't transfer anything and just started the new channel with the same name. And obviously after that case I use the VPN all of the time, and for me personally Atlas VPN is the best VPN out there. It has a security breach device monitoring feature, so it alerts me that someone tries to reach my device, then I use the public Wi-Fi. Then I see that message, I disconnect from that public Wi-Fi. Atlas VPN is very fast. It guarantees you the best streaming connection, then you watch movies on Netflix. And also by changing your virtual location you may get access to watch all of the movies, all of the series on Netflix platform. It helped me a lot. Atlas VPN helps me to access some of the websites that are blocked in my country. Patreon website is one of them, my friends. And now please check out the link in a video description just below. Join the 30 years offer for $183 per month and you'll have 83% of discount. You also have 3 months for free. The offer is time limited with my personal link, so please hurry up to join the club. Alright, so this is the city itself, and from the information that was published on different resources, Russia moved closer to the city center up to this hospital, and also they put their vector of attack over here and a little bit on the north, so they moved closer to the factory over here. So I think now they're controlling this territory according to different resources. And the bad thing that they were able to cross the river even though the bridge was destroyed, but the river is very thin out there. And for now this is their main vector of attack. They really want to go to the city center, taking it. And as you can see, Ukrainian battalions there on the western side of the city. We have just 2 of the units fighting in this area, but it's still enough to withstand the Russian aggression. And also we have lots of the backup on the sides. The 92nd Brigade is very powerful out there, and they kept Russians away from Kromove, and just recently, one day ago, they managed to counterattack in that area, pushing Russians away from this very important crossroad. So until we have this crossroad, it means that we have supply lines and it's early to withdraw our forces. And on the north, Russia was successful around 10 days ago, but for a few days they just stag in this area over here and they're not moving forward. It is the good sign. So in a worst case scenario, what Russia may do, they may just push into the city, but they're unable to encircle it as they planned before. To encircle the city, let me show you the bigger map out there. So to do it, it's not enough just to push here from the north or here from the south. No, we have our forces everywhere and they need to move forward as possible, around 15 kilometers away from the city itself. And Wagner is simply out of the resources to perform this maneuver. What they can do still is to push Ukrainian forces in the Bakhmut in a very small restrictive area. So for our forces, I may admit that it's very hard to fight in the city itself. So what about the Ukrainian counterattack? Yes, we may go from the Chasiv Yar, cutting the flanks for the Russian army on the north, on the south, but in that case we're gonna lose lots of the soldiers and lots of the armored vehicles that we need for the future counterattack, maybe in the different area. And for now, Ukrainian generals say that it's better to resist in the Bakhmut city and not go on a counteroffensive operation, because in that case usually you may lose around 3 times more soldiers compared to defense missions. And here we are on a deep state military map. You may see how Ukrainian controlled territory shrinks a bit in the Bakhmut area. And let's go to the timeline. So it was yesterday and it is today, so definitely it was the move of the Russian soldiers over here, and I think they took the hospital already under their control. But you know what, it's the single change for a few days, and we already saw this picture before in Lysychansk and Severodonetsk. And I remember one of the comments a long time ago, by the time I was filming about Lysychansk and Severodonetsk, and the comment was from my follower, and he said that Russia is taking the ground each day, and he said that for him it's very hard to watch my videos because Russia has tremendous advantage and he doesn't want to watch how Ukraine loses this war, so he said he will not follow my videos any longer. But right after it, I think in 1 week or something, Ukraine did a great advantage in Kharkiv region, probably the greatest in this war, and it was not announced as we see the massive advancement is announced by our president and our Western allies for this springtime, and I think it's going to be even more devastating for the enemy's side. And I think that we should really go to Crimea, and apparently it would be much easier compared to Donbass and to go to Donetsk, because of the reason I'm gonna tell you in this video, but a little bit later. Now let's speak about Avdiivka. So you may say that there's the same picture with Bakhmut, but actually it's not, because you can see this defense line from Ukrainian side. So this was built long time ago, and still regular Russian army is unable to break through it. So there is no Wagner forces, nothing, just a regular army and some sort of the militia, but there are just few of those, and they're in lack of the resource to encircle that city. So yes, they still have the vectors over here and from the south, but we do our best to resist, and there is no any solution for Russians in this area. They're not pushing the city from this side as they're pushing in Bakhmut. Then our forces would have to spread their defense to many lines. No, if they attack from just a few directions, like on the south, we put our brigades. If the north, we put our brigades as well. As for the city, it's more or less okay. Just sometimes Russia fire artillery and rockets. It was recorded today that they fired 2 of the big rockets to the city itself. And yeah, it's kind of bad, but there is no perspective for them in this city. So the question is why the Crimea is better aim for Ukrainian counterattack in the future. Because it's much easier to cut it out from the Russian territory. You see, in Donbass they have their railroads and other stuff, so this is kind of the industrial part of Ukraine, and many of the connections were built even by Soviet Union, railroads, the roads to connect it to the Russian Federation. But in Crimea we have the different stuff. We have just the Kerch Bridge and 2 of the ways out, and now the ways in to Crimea. One is Armansk and the other one is Changar, and also we have the line over here, the ground that we may also use to get to Crimea. And the railroad connection in Crimea is really sucks. So in case of the successful operation of Ukraine in Melitopol, if we're gonna move further to the north part of Crimea and take all of this territory, we might also cut the connections and supplies for the Russian army in all of this region, because Jankoy is the main hub for them and they use mostly the railroad to supply their army. So in that case, we're gonna take all of this part of Crimea easily. I say easily because yes, Russia has the military bases out there, but they're not used for defense. They provide the backup for the forces near to the front lines or aviation. And Russia is not building the strong and reliable defense lines in Crimea, and sometimes they're doing complete nonsense, digging the trenches at the beach of Saki, for example. Do they expect the Ukrainian counterattack from the sea? No, it will not happen because still they have superiority for the marine fleet in Sevastopol. If it's somehow destroyed, yes, in that case we might go and take the Crimea from the sea, but I don't think that it's possible in a nearby perspective until at least we'll have the long-range missiles ATACMS. And this variant we have even with the Kerch Bridge working. So here the main aim is to cut Jankoy from the supplies. But if the Kerch Bridge is not working, as it's not working today, because Russia is still unable to produce the part of the railroad section that was severely damaged and cannot withstand the weight of the trains, and we're gonna speak about it later in this video as well. So because of that, they cannot send the reinforcements to Crimea. But still they have the road supply and some of the ferries to send ammunition and other stuff through the railroad in Kerch and then send it to Jankoy or Sevastopol. And I heard that the Ukrainian defense minister was speaking about submarines that may interrupt the connections. Probably those are the kamikaze submarines, but to use them in the Kerch area, firstly we need to go to the Azov Sea to take some sort of the land under our control to send the drones. And for now, I don't think it's possible to send the submarines all across Crimea with the Russian control area in the Black Sea directly to the Kerch. So this video I took from the TikTok, and as you can see, we have a severely damaged bridge section, and because of the high temperature you can see that the metal curved and partially melted, so the construction is not ideal for the trains or any kind of the service. And the tricky thing for Russia that they cannot produce this section easily and in nearby future, because the factory where this section was in production got fire somehow, as usually someone smoked at the wrong place. So Russians have a very bad habit. And here you may see the quality of the roads right now in the Bakhmut area. There is one more reason why Ukrainian counterattack is not possible for now in that area, because simply we cannot move very fast. And the Ukrainian normal tactics for the counterattack is to encircle the small Russian groups using the high mobile vehicles. And here is one more video. So yes, you have some directions, not the roads, but it's very muddy out there, and you see that this vehicle is barely controllable. The wheels turn to the right, it moves forward, so it's not okay for successful counterattack. Russian presidents say that they will deploy the tactical nuclear weapons into the allied country Belarus. Or in that case, I call it Belorussia because it's under the Russian influence. Then Lukashenko regime will be dismissed from the power and Belarus would be free. I will call it Belarus. Also, Russian presidents say that they're quite positive about some of the paragraphs of the Chinese peace plan. Well, I would recommend him to read the first paragraph where China says that all of the sovereignty of any kind of the other countries should be respected. I think that here his message is that we should secure the current state in Ukraine and stop shooting, because you may also find this stuff in the Chinese deal, and also sanctions should be lifted from Russia, and as the gesture for it, they will not deploy the nukes in Belarus. Well, I think that the Western countries are quite okay with nukes in Belarus because it was a long time ago during the Cold War, even strategic nuclear warheads were in Belarus together with the rockets. And the Ukrainian allies will not stop supporting us with weaponry, and sanctions would not be lifted on Russia until at least this guy and his circle have the power in Russia. Because Russia is in lack of some of the types of the rockets, they start to convert the aviation bombs into the gliding bombs, and really they took this idea from the West, from the United States of America, that continues to produce the kits for Ukraine and also provide the shells for the Ukrainian army, and we already used them on the front lines. But Russia is in lack of technologies, and I personally don't think that they're gonna produce those wing kits for the bombs massively, because you also need the precise equipment to aim the bombs. And for the international news, last night there was the attack on the United States military base in Koniko, Syria. As you can see, there are lots of the oil plants in that area, and the United States also responded with their attack, but we don't have the details of that one. The attack on Americans were conducted by the pro-Iranian forces in that region. As you can see, Iran is still seeking the opportunity to destabilize the situation in Syria. And I think that you already understood that the world is divided into at least 3 groups. The first one is democracy world, including United States as the leader, European Union and other countries like Australia, Japan and New Zealand, plus Canada and some of the Latin American countries. And Ukraine is also there. We also have those autocratic countries as Iran, Russia, North Korea and also China. Plus some of the pro-Russian countries in Africa, and by the way, some of the African countries also support the Western democracy, and I think Syria may also go to the pro-Russian camp. But you cannot say that Syria nowadays has that influence as they had before. And there's the third group of the countries which are quite neutral, for example, Switzerland, and I think also India and many more. And this conflict may escalate into something bigger because of the nuclear weaponry. If we speak about the autocratic countries, they do have lots of the nukes, especially in Russia, and also even North Korea has those nukes, and Iran is getting ready to produce those. So I think that free world should stop Iran from producing that weaponry, and I'm sure that the United States will do everything to stop Iran from producing nukes. Well, I think I went really far today with that topic. I think it is the big topic for many videos, the geopolitics in the world. For today, my friends, thank you so much for watching this video. Now press the like, and also don't forget the link for the Atlas VPN. This is the special personal link where you can get the huge discount and get the big deal with Atlas VPN. My friends, thank you so much again for watching this video. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.